Hi, I'm Leanne Ely. I'm a nutritionist, a New York Times best-selling author, and some people even say I'm a life coach. I started the Daily Dish Show to share my story, my truth, and my journey to vibrancy, and to inspire others to do the same. Because it's all about grit, perseverance, and finding a way despite the odds. It's about embracing the whole woman, not just the parts that are easy to love, and feeding her heart, mind, body, and soul. But I found that this isn't just my story, it's your story too. It's go time. This is the Daily Dish. So today's show, we're going to be talking about self-talk a little bit, because this is what wise women do. We don't just allow for self-talk, we actually analyze it. Do you know why? Do you know why we do that? We analyze it because we have found, if you've been watching the shows this week, that our thoughts can't necessarily be trusted and they're not necessarily true. Because that's one of the reasons we get sucked into this whole notion and this whole idea that, we can't control things in our lives. Absolutely false. It's a big fat lie. It's a big fat lie. Hey, Susan, Jeanette, I'm glad you're here. And listen, if you make a decision that you're going to Diana Nyad your way through this life and figure things out and get things done and not allow excuses and rationalizations to be your stumbling block, then you're going to have to get into what's going on with your mind. Your mind, it's critical. Get this. It's estimated that we say 300 to 1,000 words to ourselves in our heads. You ready? Every minute. So every minute there's a conversation going on, whether or not you know this or not, you are talking to yourself on a continual basis. I don't know about you, but don't you want a good conversation? I mean, I do. Hey, Vanessa. Of course you want a good conversation. 300 to 1,000 words a minute, and that is influencing what it is that you do, what it is that you say, what it is that you believe. It's influencing everything, whether or not you know what's in those words. That's powerful. And this is why wise women know this, and because of this, they act just a little bit differently. They analyze what's going on. They take a look at their words. They're not just allowing for just anything. I have to tell you that the thing that happened for me when I fully recognized this, I believe it was like probably 10 years ago. And it just suddenly occurred to me, I don't have to do this anymore. I don't have to think these thoughts anymore. I can think something different. No, that's not true. No, just because you read that doesn't mean it's true. I remember this in 2016. This is when I lost 70 pounds. And I remember my friend JJ Virgin and I were sharing a hotel room. And I said, this last 10 pounds, it's ridiculous. I just can't lose it. It's too hard. And she said, well, you got to do this, do that, do this. I said, yeah, but the last 10 pounds, you know how the last 10 pounds are. And she said, okay. And I said, wait, what? She said, okay, if that's what you want to believe. And it was in that moment, I remember where I was standing in the hotel, where she was standing in the hotel, and how we were just talking about things. And I remember exactly how that landed on me. It was like somebody had pushed a piano out of a third-story building, and I was right underneath it. It just landed right on my head. And at that point, I made it my business to stop saying things like, well, I can't. Well, you know how. And well, this is so hard and it's a struggle. I'm on the struggle bus. That was one of my favorite things to use. I stopped using that phrase because on the struggle bus, what's a struggle bus? The struggle bus is just, you can't do anything because you're constantly struggling. And if you think about when you say, I am struggling, all of a sudden the emotions come to the I am struggling, and you suddenly find yourself, yep, indeed, I am struggling. But, that's your reticular activating system looking for struggle to support the things that you're thinking about yourself. And when I started putting all of this stuff together, my mind was effectively blown. absolutely blown. And let me just tell you about getting from that place of saying, well, you know how it is. It's such a struggle. It's so hard. And those last 10 pounds, and boy, you're going to have to fight, and this, that, and the other. I read all of this stuff on that. But the minute I made a decision that this isn't a struggle anymore, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm going to do. I'm just going to keep on doing the same thing. It's working. Those last 10 pounds fell off. Boom, like that. And I didn't think about it. I didn't go in it. I didn't have some special thing. I didn't throw special sauce on it. I didn't shake any box. I just kept doing what I was doing. And I stopped worrying about the scale as much. At that time, though, I was pretty addicted to the scale and the measuring tape, to be quite honest with you, because it became fun. It was a game. What's going to happen today? How's this going to affect me? And I think mental checklist. Exercise, yes. Hydration, yes. Mindset. Bueller. Okay, yes. Finally, mindset, place, and peace. And sleep, yes. I put those pieces in place. Meditation, yes. Putting the things in place and then making sure that my mindset went along with all the other positive changes I was making in my life. That's why I love Navy SEALs. Love Navy SEALs and love books that talk about Navy SEALs and what they do. I have a nephew who's a Green Beret, been through special training and, all kinds of stuff. These guys go through absolute hell, by the way. They get waterboarded. They do all kinds of stuff. But if you're going to not Diana Nyad your way and find a way with anything, then your mindset needs to be in place for this. It's a positive mindset. Yes. Oh my gosh, is that term just overused? Yes, it is. I'm not going to lie to you. It's overused and it seems really, kind of, well, we'll just slap a bumper sticker on. It's bumper sticker philosophy. It really is, isn't it? To a degree. Until we understand the power that we all have, the ability to move the needle simply by flipping a thought, flipping a focus, and remembering that we've been endowed with this ability from the Creator himself. This is not something we had to work up or read in a book. This is not something that we had to somehow, cryptically decipher. It wasn't any of that. This was how we were created in the first place. And for whatever reason, there's been a lot of stuff coming in your way. Oh my gosh, childhood stuff, right? Money doesn't go on trees. Scarcity. Fighting about money, watching your parents fight about money, more scarcity, figuring that things are going to be, if I don't grab this, then I won't have it. It's the funny thing about all of this is that the mindset piece of how it is that you play out your life, the things that you think, the things that you do, the things that you believe you can or cannot do, your limitations, everything is all based on the mindset. Without the mindset piece, it doesn't click in. And it's not just a matter of one time doing this and then you get that. It's not. It's like making pancakes. The first one is going to be a little bit funky, always, because we're always so quick to flip that pancake, right? We should wait a little bit longer. Wait. Now flip it. But we don't. The first pancake, I always used to say I was the first kid, because I was the oldest. I was the first pancake. So lots of lots of trying and whatever. And that's just the way it is. We have our trials and tribulations. We make big mistakes. And sometimes when we make those mistakes, it takes women right out of the flow. And it puts them on the seat and on the sidelines because they can't think any bigger of themselves. Well, I tried it and it didn't work. See? One try and we're out, Tell that to a toddler learning how to walk or your teenager learning how to drive. You're going to give it one attempt and then bail? Or you're going to go back into the ring and duke it out for the very fact that you want this thing or want to attain this level of life or want to attain a weight or a goal or whatever it is that you're looking for. However, your vibrancy comes wrapped, right? Vibrancy to me is like a gift. Here's your life and here's the vibrancy. Here's the vibrancy, right? Now, I don't know about you, but my vibrancy comes in a great big package, because I want vibrancy all the way around the block. I want vibrancy in my thoughts, in my body, in my mind, in my soul, in my relationships, in my work. Everything that I do, I want to sparkle just a little bit. I was watching a woman on TikTok. Here I go, right? Just trying to get this whole TikTok vibe down. And she was talking about putting this sparkle stuff on your cheek, right? I'm like, why do I want to do this? And she said that it just brings a little bit of extra into your life and into your face. And she said, women of any age, because, you get told that after a certain age, you want to stay away from the sparkly stuff. And I really like that. And I was thinking, women of every age need to hear this, that it's okay to add a little bit of sparkle, a little razzle dazzle, a little bit of bling into your life at any time, with your thoughts, with your actions, with everything. This is why I love Navy SEALs so much. This is why I love Diana Nyad. This is why I love Olympic athletes, because they're not settling for less than. They're going for it. And what they're finding, all of these guys are finding, is that if you're going to get that positive exchange for what it is that you want, then boy, oh boy, you better be seeking and looking for it with all of your heart, because positive thoughts are manufactured. They're shifted from the negativity and landed on to the positivity. That's what it is. That's what it is. And as a matter of fact, get this, Navy SEALs that were taught and used positive self-talk found themselves, they did a study on Navy SEALs and about their graduation rate. Well, before they started teaching positive self-talk and showing them how to use it, they had a graduation rate of 25%. After they started teaching them all this stuff, this concept of mindset, this concept of box breathing, that's another Navy SEAL technique so that they can calm down. It's a meditative practice, by the way. Before all of this, 25% graduation. That's 1/4 of the class, everybody else dropping out and quitting and whatever else. After, it jumped to 33%, a third of the class graduating. That's a huge number. Yeah, I mean, it's still not going to be the whole class, but being a Navy SEAL, it's not exactly child's play, is it? But, I will say that it's a struggle at times. Of course it is. If it was easy, everybody would do it. It's a struggle at times, but boy, oh boy, is it worth it. You're not going to solve the world's problems. You're not going to solve your problems too, by the way, just simply by saying, okay, I'm going to have a positive thoughts now. That's not how it works. A wise woman knows this, though, and knows that it's a long game. It is a long game. A long game. And sometimes it is a back and forth and a back and forth and a back and forth, fighting with yourself. You remember there are neural pathways in your brain that have been created for years on end. I saw a neurologist, they do a whole dissection. I know I'm a geek, but what do you want? He did this whole dissection on a brain. And what he does was he freezes brains. Obviously the people are dead, right? He's got a brain. He freezes brains. And then as they're thawing, he can see the neural pathways because they present, he said it's the white matter in your brain. The white matter in your brain are the neural pathways. And as they're dissecting slice by slice the brain, they can see the complexity of these neural pathways. Isn't that fascinating? So I just want you to know that as you're going through and you're trying to do something different, trying to think different thoughts, trying to do all of this stuff, you're gonna have a fight on your hands. This is why yesterday's video would be so valuable for you if you're really struggling with negative thoughts. Because yesterday we talked all about breaking those thoughts down and what it takes, to stop the negativity so that you can start walking into and embracing thinking more positive things. We all fall short. Let me just say, we all fall short. We all have to, on a daily basis, make a decision for this kind of positivity because it doesn't come easily. We're fighting against our brains. This is why, again, yesterday, go watch it if you haven't watched it. This is why, where's my book right here? There we go. Stephen Hayes, this book, A Liberated Mind. Oh my gosh, such a good book. And one of the things that he says in there is separating yourself from your brain keeps it from being too personal. So you're not putting yourself down, you're putting down a part of your brain. And we know it's the amygdala. We know what the amygdala does. It's just, oh, scary, 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 always making a big fuss about everything. Henny penny all the way. The sky is falling. That's your amygdala. I call my amygdala Amy, and I tell her to shut the heck up and take a seat. Because Amy doesn't want me to do anything. Amy is a killjoy. Amy's no fun. Amy doesn't want me to have what I want to have in my life because she wants to keep me in my office, safe and sound, not doing anything. Just don't do anything. Don't risk it. Who do you think you are? That's Amy. It's not me. That's Amy. So Amy needs to take a seat. And that's what we have to do is we have to separate those things out. And we have to remember also that our amygdalas are also going to want to not only want us to continue on this path, but they're going to do anything in their power to keep you sidelined because they know they've got the odds stacked in their favor. Seriously, think about it. 50, 60, 40, 30, 20, whatever years your amygdala's had to build up those defenses and to put you into the place of be scared, don't take a risk. White matter is what has been built on your amygdala's behalf. Let's keep her safe. You know, it's just an old way that it kept us from being eaten by saber-toothed tigers. You know, you don't want to become lunch. Let's keep her safe. Don't risk a thing. Stay in. However, there's no solution to any of your problems if you don't find that you have to take a positive stance on this full stuff. Think about it. Have you ever stayed the same on something and had it work out for you? Right? We keep doing the same crazy stuff that we've always done and think somehow or another it's going to work out for us. The old Einstein quote, at least it's been, attributed to Einstein. We don't know for sure that he said it, but, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Well, I would say the definition of insanity is thinking the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. We act off of our thoughts. It starts with a thought first, and then we move into the place of actually having some action. So I will say this, and this is like so duh, but it's really important. And that is, there's no solution to anything unless you're actively looking for the solution. Creativity closes down. Curiosity shuts it all down. You've already dismissed it, put it away, put it in a box, put it on the shelf, and said, I'm just a victim. I can't do a thing. And that's what negative self-talk is all about. That's what negative self-talk does, because it shuts down any possibilities. And the minute we make a decision for ourselves that says, but maybe there's a way. Diana and I had that thing, right? Find a way. Find. We've just opened up that door just this much. Do you see that? The light is coming through. The light is coming through, and the light's saying to you, there is a way. There is a way. The light doesn't necessarily say to you, there's a way, and here it is on a silver platter. It's just knowing that out there is a way. Out there are other people too who are seeking and looking for ways around whatever negativity there is. Right on, Tanya. Find a way. You can't look for it, though, if you've made a decision to land yourself in the negativity thought zone. You can't. You can never change something that you're unwilling to change. That same way of doing things won't get you to the place of getting what it is that you want. It's your thoughts. It's your thoughts. It is your thoughts. And wise women know this. Wise women know that their thoughts are absolutely unequivocally connected to what it is that they have in their life. The way that you think is what happens. What a man thinketh, right? That's a little book, Og Mandino, I think. As a man thinketh, so he is. So Navy SEALs themselves credit physical fitness and strength with their confidence to be able to problem solve. Now, hear this. The reason I want to bring this up is I don't want to bang you over the head about physical fitness anymore. But yes, in a way I do, because it's so incredibly important. But there is an absolute connection to the vibrancy of your life, depending on how physically fit you are. Seriously. When you're physically fit, you have a lot more endurance. When you're physically fit, you feel good in your body. You have less pain. When you're physically fit, it feels a lot happier to be sitting in this little container, doesn't it? If you're constantly thinking about the pain or how tired you are or whatever, how do you get to the place of positivity? Huh? How do you do it? It's hard. You talk about hard, you talk about a barrier. Well, Navy SEALs found that their physical fitness and strength boosted their confidence to be able to problem solve and boosted their ability to be able to get in there and not think of like how I'm going to die. There was a Navy SEAL who was down hundreds of feet down in the water and got trapped. He got trapped. He had a cable wrapped around his leg. He figured, oh, I can't breathe. Now, I would be panicking, right? So would you. I mean, first of all, water hundreds of feet down, nope, not happening. But this guy, I mean, this is what he was trained to do. And do you know, because of his training, this is what he thought instead. What he thought instead was this: I can still move my fingers. I can still breathe. So, we're not in an emergency situation. In his mind, he wasn't in an emergency, it's time to panic situation, even though he was trapped underwater, hundreds of feet down, because he could still breathe and wiggle a finger. Well, he eventually got out of that, but it's interesting to me how the difference between panicking and flipping out versus looking at it and saying, you know what, optimistic viewpoint, I still have the ability to figure this out because I still have some mobility and I can still breathe. I'm not in an emergency situation. That was this Navy SEALs training. So we're not Navy SEALs, but I still think it's worth looking at this. Preparedness, this is Navy SEAL Mike Kenny said this. Preparedness isn't just about conditioning and hardening your body. There's a mental aspect to this whole thing. Physically, you're going to be prepared. But you and your mind have to say, I am ready for this. I know I can do it. I'm adequately conditioned. Heart, mind, body, soul. That's why I always say to you, you cannot divorce yourself from your body and just have it be a weight loss project, right? You can't. Because there's weight that needs to disappear that are between your ears. There is. There's a mindset piece. Without the mindset piece, you're never going to get to the place of being happy about where you are physically. You're just not. And the whole thing goes together. 1, 2, 3, 4. Heart, mind, body, soul. Over and over and over again. That's how you were created. And the positive mindset, and here we are, all these studies, Navy SEALs, we've seen. Well, of course. This physicality part, I mean, this is like talking about your car. It's driving you around and taking you places. You can't do it without a car. You start walking, but good luck. In my neighborhood, just to get out of the gate, right? It takes like 7 minutes. If I were to walk it, I could do it probably in an hour and change, but up and down those hills, up and down the hills, you know what I'm talking about. So how do we get to this place of understanding that we can, in our heads, we can condition the way we think, just like we can condition our bodies. And that even so, as we are conditioning our bodies, if we understand in the same time, we're conditioning our minds, we've got a double whammy there. So the first thing that we need to do, I've got 7 things for you, just real easy. The first thing we need to do is focus on the good. That's why last night, Mark had the news on. I had my earbuds in and I'm reading a book. I glance at the headlines. I don't want to go with all of the stuff. I don't want to take it all in. I know there's things happening all over the world. And, my prayers are always with the people. I care about the people. And I care about people all over the world, not just my people who look like me. I care about all of them. But I can't get wrapped up in their problems. I got my own to solve, and I've got my own community. And this is my ripple right here in my little pool. And so I pray for them. I pray for everyone. I do. But I especially pray for those people that are within my little realm. I especially pray for my mindset that I can be in the place of possibility and looking continually at what my focus is. If my focus is wrong, then I'm not going to do you one bit of good. Mary, the book is called A Liberated Mind by Stephen Hayes. And that's the book that has the Navy. I think that's where I found the Navy SEAL story. But there's lots of Navy SEAL stories in that book. There's a lot of Navy SEAL stories out there. Can't Break Me or something like that. This is one of he was a Navy SEAL, and there's just so much. I had it on Audible, which was really a bad idea because the language in it was every other word was an F-bomb. Fine. I don't have a problem with people, whatever. But after a while, it just kind of dilutes the message. That's just my personal opinion. So I had a hard time with that. I would, again, do it. But he's really smart and really on it. When he made a decision to become a Navy SEAL, and you know the guy I'm talking about? I wish I could tell you. David Goggins is his name. Can't Hurt Me is the name of his book. Can't Hurt Me, David Goggins. And if you look at him online, and you're just going to see this ripped dude, and you think all you must do is exercise. Well, he started out pudgy and kind of puffy and all of this, and made a decision that he was going to become a Navy SEAL, and whatever it took to get there, that was on his whole thing. And he lost like 60 pounds in just a few months. And, he was younger and just blitzed through it, but he completely flipped his whole script completely. Most people don't do it that way, but the lessons learned from him are enough to be able to move the needle forward. What's his name? Ed Mylett, Mylett, did a whole interview with David Goggins, and Ed Mylett does a bunch of stuff like that. He does a bunch of interviews of people with mindsets, and Ed Mylett is also extraordinarily successful, and his whole thing is, how do we bring this mindset to everybody? And it's by interviewing all these different people. So it was a really interesting thing. Focus on the good. That's, where your attention goes, your focus goes. You focus on the bad, well, guess what's going to happen? Think about it. The logical progression of what's going to happen, right? Number 2, use your journal. Your journal is going to be, where's mine? I'm not going to bring it. I'm not going to show it because there's a lot. I wrote a lot this morning in it. The day before, I wrote like 4 words, and my gratitudes and a lot of things. But I will tell you right now, this is the thing that you need to know about journaling. Journaling isn't so that you can be a prolific writer. Journaling is so that you can take the bunched up stuff and let it out. Journaling is so you can grow. Journaling is allowing for the thoughts, the emotions, the everything. And going back and reading your journals is gold, because you're going to go back there and you're going to read it from a year ago or 2 years ago and go, oh my gosh, I don't even know who that woman is anymore, which is exactly what you want to see. Because as you grow, you're going to leave behind the stuff that no longer serves you. And that's what journaling does. And that's what journaling does for your mindset, is helps you clarify so that your mindset is a positive one, is one that's moving you forward. It's huge. Number 3 is gratitude. You cannot have any kind of gratitude whatsoever if you're also angry, if you're bitter, and if you're coming from a place of scarcity. You can't. You don't see you don't see things to be grateful for. All you see is problems and this, that, and but you don't understand. Well, my life's different and blah, blah, blah. I'm going to tell you what, every single person with all your problems here, you all have something to be grateful for. Every single person does. What I've noticed though is that when we start to have gratitude, we start to have more things to have gratitude for. And I'm not just talking about, coffee mugs and houses and things. I'm talking about the quality of your life becomes that much richer. Gratitude does everything. Gratitude softens and opens your heart. Gratitude says yes. Gratitude loves. Gratitude is empathetic. Gratitude is everything. Without gratitude, you're just stuck on yourself and your problems and your woe is me and reliving your life as, Groundhog Day, time after time after time after time. You're sitting on your butt. You're not working. You're sitting. You're not working it. You're not working the container. You're just sitting and rotting. Sorry, but that's the truth. That just doesn't get you what you want. There's no vibrancy in that. And like I told you, my vibrancy box, bigger than this desk, huge. I open it up and inside is all kinds of yummy stuff. But that bow is all gratitude. That's how the whole thing is wrapped up in. Gratitude, gratitude, gratitude every single day. It expands the borders of your heart, period. Number 4 is to be aware of the shifts. There will become shifts in your mind. There will be shifts. New things will start to open up and you will not have seen the possibility before because you weren't looking for it. And now that you are, whoa, here's the shift. Here's the different thinking. Well, maybe if I thought about this way. I do this all the time. I start to look like, not I have to do this. I get to do this. This is a complete privilege. This is awesome. You see the difference? Wow, what a difference. When I see things as a privilege instead of a have to, I see it in a completely different way. I embrace it in a completely different way. And boy, oh boy, is there some gratitude there for it. My life starts to look a little bit sunnier. What about yours? And number 5 is positive people please. That's what you need. You don't need to be pleasing people, but you need positive people please in your life. You hear me? You have a bunch of negative Nellies and you're giving them a place. You're giving them a lectern to talk to you and to speak into your life. Time out. Shut that down. I don't care who they are. You need positivity. So one of the things that I have said to my sweet Mark is, if he starts to get a little negative or whatever, because he doesn't have this exact mindset. He kind of rides the coattails of mine. And I'm saying this in a loving way, right? Because he has he's 66 years old. He's built his little house and he thinks of things differently since we got together. But I will tell you that he'll go into a negative funk or whatever. And I will shut that down and say, no. Oh, I didn't hear that. You can have that if you want to, but don't you impinge that on me, and I'll do one of these. Ew, no. He gets it loud and clear, Yeah. You know what I've realized though, is that we can't all be on the same page at the same time. We can't. When we do, what a beautiful thing. This is why I've created like Inner Circle and the Rising Tide and all this. So to get women like that, there's an amazing energy that goes with that. But in real life, aside from these little tiny masterminds and these groups where we purposely come together to do work like that, it doesn't happen necessarily. It should happen in your friend circles. It should happen in your accountability circles and what have you. Yes, look and seek those people out. But understand, just because somebody is not going to be completely positive and sunshiny all the time, that doesn't mean you're doomed. It just means that that's the person you're with. You just still need to rebuff it though. Number 6, suss out your negativity and have a no tolerance for it. You have negativity, so do I. We all do. It is going to rear its ugly, but you can't. You're too old. You're this, you're that. We have those. And as it comes, just say, no, thank you. Sorry, but the kitchen's closed. Sorry, but I'm not going to take that. Sorry, wrong. Hey, Leanne, mirror in the mirror, looking myself in the eyeballs. You are smart. You can do this. We have to do something dramatic to break those patterns and the cycles. If we want out, then declare it. You want out. If you want out, if you're tired of all this, pinkies up. Let's go. It's time to make a stand for the life you want to live. And you do this by sussing out the negativity and having an absolute no tolerance zone for it, because it has no place in a wise woman's life. Amen. And number 7, start your day positively. Start it positively. Gratitude will do that for you. It will expand the borders of your heart. It will help you to become more loving. It will help you to love your people more, love your God more, and love your work more and everything that you do. It is everything. And we can do this. We can do this, regardless of what's in front of us. That's just how it works. That's how thoughts are. Anyway, I hope that worked for you. This is just some of the stuff that I've been thinking about. And, boy, Navy SEALs, right? Check out the David Goggins book if you want to. Heads up, F-bombs galore. That man is just a machine. But his wisdom in there is completely priceless. Priceless. Thanks for joining me today. I appreciate it. All right. Peace be with you. I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining me today. You can find me on TikTok for daily tips to help support your most vibrant life. And remember, you are the author of your own story. Until next time.